Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha. Today's a little bit of a different video. I actually asked you guys and some of my closest friends what book reminds you of me when you think of me. Basically, what is my vibe? What is the book that I always talk about when you think of me? What book do you think of? Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's a little bit of a different video. So there was this video on TikTok that I saw Tori from It's a Novel Life do. It was a sound that was show the 5 books that define your vibe, that define your reading taste, and you can only do 5. And I was stuck on that question. I was I can think of 5 books that I love, but is that my vibe? Is that my reading taste? If someone was coming across my channel for the very first time, what 5 books would I want to show them? You know what I mean? I have so many different vibes. Sometimes I read novellas, sometimes I read historical, sometimes I read Omegaverse, sometimes I read mafia romances, so many different vibes. So I was curious and I asked some of my closest friends on BookTube and Bookstagram, when you think of me, what book do you think of? And I'm going to tell you guys their responses. This video slightly narcissistic because I'm when you think of me, what books come to your mind? Guys, I actually do have a video on my channel where I talk about my top 5 favorite romance books. I will link it down below. I narrowed it down to 5 in that video. I posted that video almost a year ago now, and I would pretty much stick by the recommendations I say in that video. I'm definitely a mood reader and a little bit of an obsessive reader, so if I find a genre that I like, I tend to stick with it for a really long time. So as a romance reader, there's so many subgenres. You have YA romance, contemporary romance, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, mafia romance, historic romance, etc., etc. The list goes on. And then you have tropes, which are a whole different ballgame. You have enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, polyamorous romances, reverse harem. So I asked 7 of my friends what books do they think of when they think of me, and I'm going to give you guys their responses, and I'll also talk about the plot of the book. Okay, so I asked Desiree from The Genki Reader, Jen from The Book Refuge, Jess from Piece of Books, Tori from It's a Novel Life, Crystal, Rachel from Rachel Reads and... I'm laughing because literally all of them said the same book. Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that I asked, and they all said the same book, and that is... Are you ready? Drum roll. Take your guesses. Again, the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. Are we surprised? If anyone were to ask me what was my favorite book of all time, this is it. Hands down, no hesitation, this is it. This is a prequel to the Wallflower series that Lisa Kleypas writes. In general, I actually adore that series. I have a whole video on it breaking down every single book in the series, which I will leave down below. You can read this as a standalone though. It does not need to be read in order. This features 2 romances actually, and the main romance is a second chance angsty romance between Lady Eileen and McKenna. It has a class difference. So Lady Eileen is the daughter of a nobleman, and she ends up falling for McKenna. They're kind of childhood sweethearts. They grew up together, but she's a daughter of a nobleman and he is a stable boy, so they have a big class difference. They've always had this very visceral and intense connection. However, her dad does not approve of the relationship. So a lot of stuff happens that ends up separating them because of their class difference. Years later, McKenna is back with a vengeance. He's back from America. He is a self-made man. He has some shmoney on him. He's back to show our heroine everything that she's missed. So it's kind of a revenge plot, very angsty. Oh, so good. So good. The romance is so good. I cannot stress enough how much I love this romance. And the second romance, because there's 2 romances in this book, it's her and her sister's romance, and her sister's romance is so cute. Oh my god, Gideon, oh my god, he's such a cute hero. And I feel this book, although I talk about it a lot, everyone usually says that Devil in Winter is their favorite in the series and kind of skips over this book, which Devil in Winter, great book, love it, babe. But again, the magic is where it's at. It's truly magical, you know what I mean? Okay, let's talk about the book, other books that people said. So Jessica from Piece of Books also said Sugar Daddy by Lisa Kleypas. I think in general I have been pretty vocal about my love for Lisa Kleypas, but this is a part of her contemporary series, which again I feel doesn't get enough love. does not get enough love. Love triangle. Our heroine is very, very close to her younger sister. At a very young age, she has to kind of care for her younger sister and become her guardian. It's a love triangle between someone that she had like an instant chemistry with when she was a child, so kind of like her childhood sweetheart. And in the book, she goes through a lot of loss in her life, and in that loss, she ends up meeting like a really wealthy gentleman who used to know her mother, and in that process she meets his son, who again is super like rich and alpha energy, and they form a connection as well. It's a love triangle between her childhood sweetheart and then the new guy that she meets as well, and it is so freaking good. I think I resonate with this book so much because our heroine, like, I've never read a heroine in a romance book that I've connected to so much. Her personality, I just feel like, is really similar to mine. The fact that she's so close to her younger siblings is very similar to me. Anything by Lisa Kleypas, honestly, I adore. So, right from It's a Novel Life, she said Again the Magic too, but she also said A Big Bet. So this is a novella by Casey Mint. I love novellas, and I specifically love Casey Mint. She's definitely one of my go-to authors when it comes to novellas. This is a part of her Big Boy series, which is a series of novellas that feature plus-size heroes. This is absolutely my favorite novella from the entire series. It is a friends to lovers romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. It follows a burlesque dancer and a blackjack dealer. They both work at the same casino and they fall in love. They like walk each other home and like watch out for each other after their shifts, and it is so stinking cute. The romance is like that perfect blend of being sweet and steamy, and I love it. Crystal was another one who said Again the Magic as like a specific title, but she said like in general, when she thinks of me, she thinks of like sapphic romances and poly romances because I tend to recommend them all the time, which I love because I do love a good poly romance. Yes, my core is historical romance, and I love that on my channel. I have a whole book club dedicated to it, and all the books behind me are historical romance. But like, really, just give me any romance with more than 2 people and I'm like, fine. I'm cool. I'm great. From Rachel Reason Singh says that Pool Boy is another book that reminds her of me. I did a whole video on this one book because I was so obsessed with it. It's an age gap romance where the woman is older. So our heroine in this book is recently going through a divorce, and she's going through a rough time. She's really trying to like find herself and find her confidence. So she ends up getting like a boob job, which is very relevant to the story, okay? So she gets a boob job and she's out in her backyard like showing off her girls, just sun tanning, and she doesn't realize that her pool boy is outside and he sees her. And after that they have like this very like sexy, intimate moment, but their romance is pretty forbidden, not only because of their age gap, but because he is her best friend's son. Scandalous, darling. Scandalous. I really love this book because it's steamy, but the connection between our characters is so romantic and beautifully written. They both bond over music, which you will see like in this book, and it's so good. One of my favorite age gap romances in general, and again, love this heroine, love her confidence, loved reading about her. Spencer from Intentionally Bookish, she said Indigo from Beverly Jenkins, which is one of my favorite historicals. So this is a historical that takes place during the Underground Railroad. This book right here, our heroine is a part of the Underground Railroad, and her house is like a safe house, and that is how she meets our hero under his moniker, the Black Daniel, kind of known under his moniker of freeing enslaved Black women, men, and children. How she ends up meeting him, and when she meets him, he is injured, so she kind of like nurses him back to health, and then it follows their romance. This is incredibly romantic, arguably the most romantic book in my personal opinion. It also said Phantom of the Opera, which makes me incredibly happy. If you guys didn't know, I obsessively collect Phantom of the Opera copies. I have like 7 at this point, and I have watched the movie a dozen times. I've read the book a dozen times. I am obsessed with this musical. It's one of my favorite musicals that I've ever seen. I love musicals in general, but something about Phantom of the Opera was like, that was ingrained into my soul. It was the first Broadway musical I saw like on Broadway. Like being in middle school and high school, obsessively watching the movie with like Gerard Butler with my sister. I love it. I love it so much. And also, I am Team Raoul. Okay, like, yes, it's called Phantom of the Opera, but like really, if you really think about it, what a toxic relationship Phantom has with Christine, okay? Basically stalks her and gaslights her. It's Team Raoul all the way, okay? He is a Viscount #1, okay? Childhood friends, childhood sweetheart, how sweet. He was riding with her since day 1. I love that book. I love it so much. Team Raoul, Not Team Phantom, Team Raoul. And then lastly, Lacey said 2 Catherine Moon books, which are some reverse harem books. So she said Baby and the Late Night Howlers, which is an Omegaverse book. I love Omegaverse. Give me an Omegaverse. Give me any Omegaverse. I love it. I love that type of world. So if you don't know what Omegaverse is, I have many videos on it, and I will leave a link down below of those videos of the type of dynamic, because it's a very niche subgenre. So it's kind of like werewolf shifter, like alpha fated mates type vibe, but a little bit more intense. So in this world, there's alphas, omegas, and betas. So our heroine grows up thinking that she's a beta, and she ends up finding out that she's an omega in a crowded bar full of alphas that want to mate her. So she ends up meeting a beta who kind of like helps her and saves her and takes her to like a safe space for omegas where she can choose her own pack. So in this universe, omegas tend to go into like a pack of alphas, and she ends up choosing a MC group, like a motorcycle gang of like 12 alphas, okay? 6 of them she's like romantically involved with, the other 6 she's like more emotionally involved with, but it is reverse harem. There's a lot of reverse harem things, sword crossing, all of the things. Reverse harem, but it's also kind of polyamorous. And in this universe, in this like MC universe, there's a rival motorcycle gang that is stealing omegas and like using them for human trafficking. So she's in danger. So she's like being protected by her alphas, and it's just perfect. I actually love this whole series in general. And then the other one is Good Deeds by Catherine Moon, which I don't know if I've ever talked about on my channel. It's a robot romance. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. Our heroine like lands on this pleasure planet where it is filled with like simulation robots that are basically designed for people's pleasure. And again, she lands on this planet, and there is a group of people who are using like other species and kidnapping them for like human trafficking. I don't know why they have like a very similar theme. Kind of like a mystery. She's trying to figure out who is kidnapping like all of these different species, but she ends up falling for a couple of robots. It's reverse harem. I think she falls for like 4 or 5 robots. It's a good one. Okay, so those are some of the books that my friends say remind me, or remind them of me. Remind them of me. Did I keep saying remind me of them? I'm not refilming this. Anyways, so yeah, those are my vibes. Those are my books. Historical romances, Lisa Kleypas basically. Beverly Jenkins, reverse harems, polyamorous, sapphic romances. Like, that's my vibe. I'm cool with it. Okay, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. If you make any type of bookish content, I would love for like people to like film this version of... I cannot talk today. Oh my god. Basically what I'm saying is like other creators should do the same video. Okay, I'm leaving. I literally cannot talk today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. So also, the outfit that I wore to work today is like super cute. Can you see it? Can you see it? Like these high-waisted pants and this lavender, and then I like matched my lavender eyeshadow. I felt really cute today, so. And I have like little heels on too, but you can't see those because I'm short, so I needed a little height with these pumps. I felt really cute today. That's it. Okay, bye.